মোহাম্মদ শাবুলউদ্দিন প্রবাসী বাংলাদেশী সহ সাউথ এশিয়ানদের জন্য নিবেদিত প্রাণ এক সমাজকর্মী। নিউ ইয়র্ক সিটি কাউন্সিল নির্বাচন 2021-এ ডিস্ট্রিক্ট 24 এর প্রার্থী শাবুলউদ্দিন নির্বাচিত হলে কাজ করবেন শিক্ষা, হালাল খাবার, আইন শৃঙ্খলা ও স্মল এন্টারপ্রেনারদের নিয়ে। সোচ্চার থাকবেন বিভিন্ন দাবি দেওয়া আদায়ে। আসুন 22শে জুন ডেমোক্রেটিক প্রাইমারি নির্বাচনে পরীক্ষিত শাবুলউদ্দিনকে নির্বাচিত করি।
Hi, my name is Mohammeduddin and I approve this message.
It helps Queens, it helps New York, it helps America. So I'm going to tell you a few little stories and then I'll get into some substance. First, this week is a very appropriate week. I have the honor of nominating people to the federal bench, a lifetime appointment, very powerful. This week I put on the floor of the Senate and it passed the first Muslim ever as a federal court judge. Second, you may not know this, but I had a role in beginning to settle the Bangladeshi community in New York. I was, as was mentioned by Mr. Ali, I was the youngest elected assembly member. I was 23 years old. And I represented Brooklyn on Coney Island Avenue. And the Pakistanis, you didn't have a Bangladesh then, it was East Pakistan, West Pakistan. Then you got your freedom. But the Pakistanis began to come to America. And they needed a place to settle. And there were no food that you couldn't get halal food. Because there were no halal restaurants, no halal food suppliers. The Quran says that if you can't get halal, you can get kosher. And there were a lot of kosher restaurants on Coney Island Avenue, a lot of kosher stores, and I helped the original Pakistanis when they came, both from Bangladesh and what was then called West Pakistan, come to Brooklyn. And I was proud that in my district was the largest English as a second language for both Urdu and Bengali. That's a fun fact. There's another fun fact why I love immigrants so much. Two things about it. Do you know what my middle name is? Who knows? Even Adrian, even David doesn't know. He knows. My middle name is Ellis. You know what it's named for? Ellis Island. And not only that, my daughter's middle name is Emma. Now, how is Emma? Emma Lazarus was the poet who wrote on the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty, "Give me your poor, your tired, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." That's how much I believe in immigration. Not only because it's humane, not only because it makes America the shining city on the hill, it's the best thing for our economy. Immigrants work so hard. So when I wrote the original immigration bill with John McCain, it was then bipartisan, it was before the Republican Party became so viciously anti-immigrant. When I wrote that bill, the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, estimated that if we passed our bill, which would allow many more immigrants, many from Bangladesh, and much more family as well as job visas, because you have many family members who want to come and couldn't, cousins, aunts, uncles, things like that. The CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, said it would grow America's GDP by 3.5%, more than any Republican tax cut, more than any Democratic spending program. The secret of America, the secret of Queens, the secret of New York is we love immigrants. And I am especially fond of this community because you are so important. And one final story. This is the bad side of things. Donald Trump was viciously anti-immigrant. And one of the first things he did was start a Muslim ban. Now you may know, you remember he gave nicknames to people? My nickname was Crying Chuck Schumer. Do you know why I was Crying Chuck Schumer?
Crying for the people.
I had it, exactly. I had a Sunday press conference, I sometimes do those, you know. And it was the week he did the Muslim ban, and I had a whole bunch of families. I had an Afghan man who had risked, he was the translator for our soldiers. He risked his life stepping on IEDs. But there was a beautiful family, a woman, of course, in her Muslim garb, with the chaldor, and her 4 children. And with the Muslim band, she said, they will never see their father. I will never see my husband again. I started to cry. I'm an emotional person. And Trump, being the son of a gun that he is, I know you're a religious people, so I don't say any dirty words. I'm from Brooklyn, occasionally we say that. Not in front of a nice God-fearing people like yourselves. Trump says, oh, crying Chuck Schumer. That's how he gave me my nickname. And then he said, but they're fake tears, he never cries. He doesn't know, I'm a crier, because I'm emotional. And the famous story in my family is, when I took my daughters, who were 4 years old and 8 years old, to see the movie Free Willy. Do you remember about that? When Willie escaped and jumped over the fence, I started to cry, and I took them alone, my wife couldn't come, and they ran out of the theater because they were afraid their father was crying. So of course I believe, but I believe in you. I believe in you. And I want to pass an immigration bill, but I will certainly call up DHS, who mentioned that? Yes, Mr. Chowdhury, about dealing with the green cards. We are trying to get all the help we need. We are trying to get TPS for everybody. And once you get TPS, you should be allowed to get a green card. So I want to thank first, I want to thank our great community here. I want to thank Muhammad Ali, our great president, thank him for his. I want to thank so many others who I know are here. Salim Khan, is he here? Thank you. He is the vice president. Aminur Rubel, Rahman Rubel. I want to thank Amin Mehdi. I want to thank Fazan Dolan. We heard from Mufazi Hossein. We heard my dream on immigration. We will pass comprehensive immigration reform. It will allow the 11 million undocumented to have a path to citizenship, and it will allow many more immigrants to come to America from Bangladesh and all over the world. Yes. Because immigrants are so wonderful for our country. And that is one of my passions, and we are trying in the upcoming reconciliation bill to do this. And I know what America's like. My grandpa was an immigrant. My father was an exterminator, had worked very hard, but never made much money. But he's, praise God, he is now, he will turn 98 on Sunday. And he's funny, he said, I'm 98, how bad could DDT have been? But so I believe in you, and I believe in the future. One other issue I want to discuss, vaccines for Bangladesh. Yes. Very, very important. So let me just say a couple of things about this. The president has just proposed, and here's our great senator, Leroy Comrie. The president has just proposed 500 million vaccines to go to the rest of the world. I give you my word. Already some have gone, I think 7 million to Bangladesh. I give you my word, I will fight to see that Bangladesh gets many more of these vaccines. Okay, several other things we are doing and trying to do. Who is the owner of this nice restaurant? Stay here. Make sure he applies. We passed many things in the ARP, the American Rescue Plan. But I want to tell you one that's going to happen soon. We have doubled the child tax care credit. Now, how many of you got the checks of $1,400 back then? Yeah. But let me just say, I wrote that into the law. McConnell didn't want it. I said if I become majority leader, we will have it. And now it's done. Here's the other thing. How do you say it in Bangladeshi? Be quiet. Okay. So I also wrote the law that got the vaccines out to people. Has everyone gotten vaccinated? Please make sure. But also in that law is money for our restaurants, and particularly our small restaurants, not the chain restaurants. Make sure all of the restaurants in your community apply. And if they need help applying, Adrian, David, Leroy, my office will help you. You can get up to 45% of your lost income in a cash grant. Every restaurant that has income below 5 million, which is almost all of our restaurants. So that is very important. Another thing that is important, New York City, $6 billion.
Thank you.
4 billion was for the deficit, but the mayor has 2 billion extra. And I am going to work to see, because you can use that money for things like a community center. And I will work with you to see if the city can give you that money, and if he can. It would be so beautiful to have a community center.
Yes, thank you.
So beautiful. So I will work with the mayor to try and get that done, because I did get him the money, so sometimes, not always, but sometimes he listens to me. And I will then try at the federal level to get it for you as well. Because I know it'll take a while. You're going to have to come up with a proposal that I don't know if you have one yet. But for the community center, you got to put, it doesn't have to be a lot of detail, but we need a proposal to send forward. Okay? Okay. So those are the things you've told me to do. The green cards, the community center, immigration, and what was the last one? Vaccines, yeah, yes. Okay, and I believe in this. So I will go to the governor, and I will ask him to put someone of Muslim background on the CUNY board. If I can create the first Muslim judge, I can create the first Muslim CUNY board. Okay, so that's beautiful, and I will work on all of those things for you. I have 2 great staffers. Jackie Benavides is an immigration expert. I want to tell you a nice story. What the people are, I won't say this. Got cameras in. But I was surprised that in Burma, which is supposed to be a nice Buddhist country, they are treating the Rohingya so horribly. And I am already working on that with our Bob Menendez, head of our Foreign Affairs Committee, to do something there, because the persecution is just terrible. And the president, we're getting him to increase the number of refugees and asylees, and that will help some of the Rohingya come to America as well. And that's very important. Okay? So now I have a lot of other things to talk about, but don't want to take too much time. But let me just say to you, one of the other things I did, we have all seen the persecution recently of Asian Americans. It is despicable. A man told me, an elderly man, that when he walked on the street, people spat upon him. A young lady told me she didn't want to take the subway anymore because she'd see people stare at her. Why did all this happen? We know our Asian community is so law-abiding and so peaceful and so beautiful, particularly this Bangladeshi community. Why did it happen? I'll tell you why. Unfortunately, the poison of America from 1619 has been racism. It's always been around. But all the good leaders knew that they tried to push it down, just like the religion, just like your Islamic religion tells you you have to focus on people's good instincts and push the bad instincts down. We all have good and bad. And America did a pretty good job over the last 30 or 40 years of beginning to push it down, until the worst president we have ever had, Donald Trump, came in, and he let all the demons come up. And he made it acceptable. I want to tell you a story about how the bigotry affects me. I get lots of anti-Semitic emails, but here's the closest that came to me. So I learned on January the 6th at 4 a.m. in the morning, when our two senators from Georgia won, that I would become the majority leader. That was my dream. Not for power, not for ego, but to be able to help people like you. This is what I get. This is what I get joy of. So I learned at 4 in the morning, and I felt very joyful. And I couldn't sleep. And I get in the car at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. And I drive down to Washington, and I get on the floor of the Senate at 1 p.m. First time ever as majority leader. I am the first majority leader ever from New York.
Yeah.
I know there's one thing you'll say against me. I'm from Brooklyn, not Queens, but my parents live in Queens. In any case, we are a diverse borough too, but not quite as diverse as you. I like that very much, that you're so diverse. But in any case, so I get to the Senate floor at 1 p.m. and I'm sitting there, and I'm only there an hour. I haven't yet even given my first speech as majority leader when a police officer with a bulletproof vest and a submachine gun across his waist grabs me firmly by the collar like this. I'll never forget how that felt. He said, "Senator, you are in danger." I didn't even know what the danger was. I was sitting in the Senate floor. He explained it to me. He says, "We must get out of here." And you may have seen this because it was shown in the impeachment trial and on TV. The overhead cameras caught it. We walk out the door of the Senate. I turn to the right, go down a hall, walking briskly with a police officer on each side. We go through a door. Then you can't see us for 20 seconds. And then we're coming back out the door, running at full speed. I was within 20 feet of these insurrectionist, horrible people. If one of them had a gun, two of them had run to block off the door, I might not be here to talk to you today. And one of them was reported to say, when they saw me, "There's the big Jew, let's get him." Bigotry against one is bigotry against all, and we know that in Queens. We all defend one another against bigotry. And that's why, even though I'm a Jewish person, but I am one of the fighters against anti-Muslim bigotry, because it is so despicable. In any case, so I know what it's like to be the subject of bigotry. So when we saw all this anti-Asian violence against people who had always been working hard and being good Americans, I said we had to do something. And I went to the two Asian American women in the Senate. Mazie Hirono, she's a senator from Hawaii, she's of Japanese origin. And Tammy Duckworth, the senator from Illinois, she's of Thai origin. And I said, we have to introduce legislation. And one of the first things I put on the floor of the Senate as majority leader was the anti-Asian bigotry bill. And now, because of the law, the president signed it, there is a section of people in the Justice Department who are assigned to prosecute anti-Asian bigotry and go after it. So that is another thing we have done. I want to help the other group. There are so many people I want to help. This is a community of many small business people. Who's a small business person here? See, look how many. My father he had this little exterminating business, never successful. But I ache for small business people. That's why I wrote the PPP program. We wrote it twice and 3 times. And if anyone is having trouble who has applied and they're giving you trouble, you should let us know so we can help you. The applications are finished, but some people have their applications in and haven't gotten the help. They should let us know. There's money for the restaurants as well. Any of the restaurant owners should let us know. We will help them as well.